Hi there. Hi. My name's Rosie Cameron, and I'm a student here at the university. Do you have a few minutes?
Sure. What do you need?
Well, I'm doing a questionnaire on family and friendship, so would it be okay to ask you some questions?
Sure, no problem.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so can you tell me your name and what you do?
Sure, my name's Ben Bull, and I'm a second-year politics student.
Well, hello, Ben. Oh, I've said that already, haven't I? Okay, so you're male, obviously, and your age group is 18 to 24?
A bit older, actually. I'm 28, so you need to tick the 25 to 32 box.
28. Great, thanks. Okay, so first question. Are you in a relationship?
No, I'm single at the moment.
No way.
What?
Nothing. Sorry. Not married, no girlfriend. Okay, next question. When you meet people for the first time, do you find it easy to make friends with them?
Yes, I think so. I'm not shy. In fact, I think I'm generally quite confident.
Okay, and how would you describe your childhood?
Really happy. I grew up in quite a big family. There was my mum and dad, of course, but I've also got 5 older sisters.
Wow, so you're the youngest of 6 children then?
Yeah, that's right. But I also live with 2 of my grandparents, my mum's mum and dad.
So there were 3 generations and 10 people living in the same house then? Wow.
Yes. Basically, I was brought up in a house full of women. My grandmother, my mum, and my elder sisters. I think that's why I'm quite confident now, because I had so much support when I was growing up, I mean.
How cool. Okay, do you keep in touch with friends you made at school?
Yes. I've got a friend called Zippy. Actually, his real name's Sipho Zulu. His dad's from Zimbabwe, but everyone calls him Zippy.
And did you get on with Zippy straight away?
No, actually, that was the funny thing. Before we met, I'd been the best football player in the whole school.
Oh, I'm sure you were.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Oh, so, anyway, Zippy was such a good player that I really hated him at first.
So how did you become friends?
Well, we eventually discovered that we had lots of things in common. He's also the youngest child in a big family, and he also only has older sisters. And we definitely share the same sense of humour.
How important is a sense of humour in friendship?
Oh, really important. I mean, I can't believe... Thank you. Okay, so my talk tonight is called Psychology in Advertising. But I'm going to start with a little story. In the 18th century, Germany was divided into lots of different countries, and one of these was called Prussia. And the king there was called Frederick II. Now, this particular king was a really very talented man. In fact, he was so brilliant that he is still known as Frederick the Great. OK, so at that time, the 1770s, hardly anyone in Prussia ate potatoes, because the main meal for almost everyone was bread. But there was a problem with bread. In those days, sometimes the wheat didn't grow very well, or it grew, but then it died before people could make bread from it. And every time that happened, people, especially poor people, would have nothing to eat. So when Frederick heard about the potato, he thought, "Ha-ha! Perfect! If the people can grow these potatoes as well as bread, then no one will ever be hungry again." Frederick was so satisfied with this idea that he immediately ordered everyone in the country to start growing potatoes. But to his surprise, they refused. They simply would not touch these potatoes. The people of Kolberg sent Frederick a letter, telling him that potatoes were so disgusting that even their animals couldn't eat them. Now, Frederick was a very intelligent man. And although there were no psychologists in 1774, he certainly had a talent for understanding the psychology of his people. So he soon came up with a very interesting plan. First, he planted potatoes in a big field, which he called the Royal Potato Garden. Next, Because it was not just any potato garden, but the royal potato garden, he sent soldiers to guard it. As soon as people saw the garden and the soldiers, they started asking each other, what could be in that field that is worth so much? And of course, as soon as they found out that the field was full of potatoes, they all wanted some. It was not long afterwards that people started going to the field at night to steal potatoes. Frederick, of course, had expected this to happen. In fact, he had even given secret instructions to his soldiers to pretend that they had not seen the potato thieves and actually let them steal the potatoes, because that was what Frederick had wanted to happen. There is an important lesson here for people about psychology in advertising. When Frederick told people they would never be hungry again if they ate potatoes, they were not interested. When Frederick ordered them to grow potatoes, they refused. But when people believed that they were not allowed to eat potatoes, and that they were only eaten by kings and queens, then they immediately wanted to have them. And that's good psychology.
Greta.
Am I a people pleaser? Well, when someone asks me to do them a favour, I almost always say yes. For instance, last week when my manager asked me to stay and work late, I just said yes without thinking. And I do that all the time. I'm always the person who stays late or does extra work. I think the problem is that I care too much about what other people think of me. Like when I buy a new dress and wear it for the first time. I know it's crazy, but I don't really feel comfortable until someone says something nice about it. And it's even better if I don't know the person saying it. And if someone makes a negative comment, I get really upset and I might never wear that dress again.
Colin.
I'll do anything to avoid an argument. I just listen to other people's opinions or what they want and agree with them. It's just easier that way. Like when my friend says, let's go and get a pizza, and I feel like having sushi, I just do what he wants. We always have pizza. One of my friends recently said I don't seem to have my own opinions. He isn't the first person to tell me that. It's true. When I'm in a group of classmates at college and we're discussing something, I don't say very much. I listen, and then I basically agree with the majority. For example, last weekend I was out with some friends. We were talking about a film we'd just seen, and my friends really liked it. I thought it was boring, but I didn't say so. I don't know why. It makes life easier, I suppose.
Anna.
It's important to me that people like me, but I think people who care too much about other people's opinions are wasting their time. For example, on social media, I don't pay attention to comments that are negative. I don't get upset. It's not my problem. Maybe the person is just in a bad mood. Yeah, basically, I'm a very positive person, but I don't go with the crowd. Like at work, in a meeting, if someone has an idea and I think it's terrible, I'm the first person to say, I really don't think that will work, even if everyone else thinks it's a good idea.
Oh, sorry I'm late. I had a really bad journey.
Why? Were there a lot of people on the train?
No, not many. But it's just the way some people behave. Oh, I can't stand it.
Why? What happened?
Everything. First, I had to queue to buy a ticket because the ticket machines were broken.
Ugh, I hate it when that happens.
And, of course, people were jumping the queue, saying they were in a hurry and could they please go in front of me.
Maybe they were in a hurry.
Right, Like I wasn't.
All right.
Then I got on the train, sat down. There were lots of empty seats, and this guy sat down next to me, took out a burger, and started to eat it.
Oh, yuck. People are always doing that on trains. I expect it smelled bad.
Yeah, the smell was terrible. It really got on my nerves. I kept looking at him, like this. But he didn't react. Oh, so annoying.
Sometimes it's better if you don't react.
You mean do nothing? Maybe. Anyway, after 2 stops, he got off. But then 3 teenagers got on, and they were watching a football match. Really loud.
You really did have a bad time.
And then one of them opened some windows, and it was like a tornado. It blew my hair all over the place.
I know what you mean. Without asking anyone.
Yeah, it really annoys me when they do that.
You're always getting so upset about things. And you're here now.
But that sort of behaviour really bugs me. And I'm not finished.
There's more.
I was so annoyed that I didn't pay attention to where we were. And I missed my stop.
Oh, it really doesn't matter. Look, let's get something to eat.
Okay, sorry.
Taking the pain out of the wait. Waiting in a queue drives most people crazy, and that's bad for business. So businesses make a lot of effort to solve this. When high-rise buildings became common, waiting for the lift was frustrating for anyone who was in a hurry, and there were lots of complaints. So mirrors were put next to the lifts, and complaints dropped because it gave people something to look at while waiting. An airport was constantly getting complaints about the long wait for baggage. When they moved the arrival gates further away, complaints stopped and no one got upset about the longer walk. When a new electronic product comes out, there can be long queues, and people camping outside a shop can be a real problem. Danish researchers found a solution. Serve the last people to arrive first. That way, there's no reason to show up early. As far as we know, no other countries are planning to try out the Danish solution. We can guess how people might react to it. Most people would probably stick to their belief that first come, first served is fair, and anyone jumping the queue is just behaving rudely.
Many of us spend our lives trying to make other people happy. We worry about upsetting them and do things we don't feel like doing. Today, I'm with journalist Miguel Galdames to talk about how to stop being a people pleaser and put yourself first. Hi, Miguel.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So, have you always avoided doing things you don't like?
No, not at all. I spent until I was almost 40 doing things I didn't want to do or going places I didn't want to go. Like when I spent a week camping in the jungle with my friend, even though I'm scared of snakes and spiders. I worried all the time about what people thought of me or that I might upset them. For instance, I used to eat things I hated because I didn't want to be rude, and I would apologize when I hadn't done anything wrong.
That sounds familiar. So what changed?
I started feeling really stressed and anxious all the time. I spent too much time doing things I didn't want to and not enough doing things I loved. Then I read a book about how you can declutter your life, like when you give away the things you don't need and suddenly have lots of space in your apartment. And it really made sense to me. When you stop doing stuff you don't feel like doing, you have so much more time, energy, and money to do the things you want to. For example, I have more time to visit art galleries. You just feel less stressed and enjoy life more.
That sounds great, but how do you do that without upsetting your family and friends?
You have to allow yourself to say no without feeling anxious or guilty. The most important thing is to be polite and honest with your friends. For example, my friend kept on inviting me to the cinema, and each time I'd make up an excuse, then feel guilty about lying to him. Eventually, I told him the truth. I don't like going to the cinema, and I'd rather spend the money on something else. He wasn't upset, and we still see each other, but now we do something we both like doing.
Great advice. Thanks, Miguel.